On a Tuesday episode of Locked On Raptors, we often like to play stupid little games on this podcast, and today we're playing the OG. That's right, it's What's More Likely?
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Tuesday, April the 22nd, and I'm your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 11 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work at all the places, Blue Sky, Instagram. Join the Discord, link in the description of the podcast. You can also subscribe for free to the daily Locked On Raptors newsletter, which is great and still going, even though the Toronto Raptors are no longer still going. Much appreciated when you support it. Again, 100% free, so please go on and sign up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins, and we're off and running here on the podcast, baby. We're playing What's More Likely, one of our favorite stupid little games here on this podcast, where we take two wildly unlikely outcomes on opposite ends of the spectrum and determine which of the two things is most likely to happen. And here is my favorite partner for stupid little games on the podcast. It's our pal Big V, Vivek Jacob from Raptors in 7 and Sportsnet, among other places on the internet, talking hoop. Big V, are you recovered from watching the absolute stress ball that was Nuggets Clippers game 2?
Yeah, I mean, hey, the only way to recover from smart, efficient hoops from last night is to play stupid little games.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man, watching Kawhi do his thing again, watching this Nuggets Clippers series is such a treat. Can't miss a minute of it. So yeah, happy to watch playoff hoops. Look at the Pistons getting it done in New York.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got some fun series going on.
We sure do. Yeah. Clippers Nuggets, man. That's proper hoops. It's proper sports. It rules. It's the kind of series where I have like a group chat with like a bunch of my pals who aren't like huge NBA fans. They're more hockey fans, baseball fans, etc. And it's one of those series where I'll just kind of drop in the chat and be like, hey guys, I know you're not NBA fans, but I know you like the sports. Some really good sports is going on with this Nuggets Clippers series. You should check it out. We are not here to talk about the Nuggets and Clippers as much as it would be cool to do an entire episode on that kick-ass game 2 last night with Kawhi Leonard looking like Kawhi freaking Leonard, baby. But we're here to talk about the Toronto Raptors instead. Feel the rush. Yeah, we're going to get into 3 what's more likely scenarios, as we often do here on the show. We've got one regarding a couple of players on the Raptors and statistical milestones. We've got one regarding yesterday's topic, Cooper Flagg, and offseason trade madness. But let's start here, Big V. The playoffs are going on. We love watching the playoffs, all of that. I miss watching the Raptors in the playoffs, and this question ties into whether or not we will watch them in the playoffs next year. What's more likely, number one, the Toronto Raptors win a playoff series next year or miss the playoffs entirely, which includes missing the play-in or losing in the play-in. They don't get a full 7-game series in round 1, at least under their belts. What is more likely for you here, Big V?
Look, I hate to be a bummer to start out.
Oh, Captain Tank calling for the tank again, I see.
I like the Raptors. I think they're going to be good next year. I do think, if you end up outside home court advantage, you are going to be faced with a pretty tough matchup. And so that's where I think it'd be really difficult to win a playoff series. And so I do think it's more likely that they somehow, land somewhere between 7 to 10. I think 7 or 8 might be the more likely option of those 4 seeds, and then somehow miss out on the playoffs.
Just away 2 home games, yeah.
So, yeah, I think winning a playoff series next year would be a huge accomplishment. But I do think, realistically looking at it, you're probably facing, one of, the Cavs, the Celtics, the Knicks. And so I think that's where it's hard for me to really buy them winning a series.
Totally fair. I'm going to pat myself on the back here a little bit because this question really is the essence of what's more likely. It really does feel like they're kind of doomed to be, not even doomed, like kind of destined to be like a 5 or 6 or 7 seed that gets into the playoffs and loses in the first round, perhaps in noble fashion, perhaps less so, depending on who they play. And that would be an awesome step forward. I'm very into that. I would love to watch a regular season where they win a bunch of games and then have some playoff action to make me feel alive. That would rule. But yeah, that is clearly the most likely outcome of all the potential outcomes, I think. I will go with you on this one and say, yeah, the play-in, it's just there. There's no guarantee they're going to be a top 6 team. We'll get into the Cooper Flagg thing later, and I talked about it yesterday. I do think if they get Cooper Flagg, as much as rookies don't help you win, some rookies can, very special rookies can, and I think Cooper Flagg kind of has the juice to be a special rookie, and so that probably puts them into the conversation to maybe squeak into home court, the very least be a top 6 team, kind of as like a betting favorite to be that going into the year. But barring that, obviously they need a lot of luck for that to happen, and barring some other trade movement and all that stuff, it does feel like, 5, 6, 7 is probably where they're going to end up, and you're just likely to lose there. And if you're in the 7 or 8, it's just things can go wrong, and you can just miss the playoffs outright. And so, I think that is probably the way I'll go here too. I don't think there's any way, like if this was straight up, they win a playoff series or finish 11th or lower, I might go towards win a playoff series. What about you? If I change the parameters of this, what's more likely, what would you go for?
Sorry, say that bit again.
What's more likely? They finish like outside of the plane entirely, 11th or worse, or win a playoff series?
Yeah, then I would go win a playoff series. I'd be very surprised if this team finished 11th or worse. I think, in terms of a ceiling for this team, that would be, exceeding expectations. I don't know if it's meeting expectations, but like I think 45 wins is something that I am kind of looking forward to, hovering around there. Obviously, we don't know how injuries and stuff like that will play out. And obviously, we got to see how chemistry plays out between all these guys on the floor together. So I do think there'll be some stuff to work on and work through at the start of the season, and then maybe they hit fifth gear. So I think it'd be very, very disappointing if this team finished 11th or worse.
If they finish 11th or worse, I think some people are maybe going to be looking up at the guillotine coming down upon their heads, to put it graphically. I think that would be kind of a full-on disaster. I think this team is too good and too talented to finish in that range. Obviously, like you can't account for other teams getting better. The Sixers will probably be better, maybe if they get health. Who's the hell to say? I don't know. They're a big wild card, but maybe the Hawks figure something out, or maybe they trade Trae Young. They fired Landry Fields yesterday. Shout out Landry Fields. Far better reality singing show contest participant than GM. He belongs on a stage. I think he's got better things to offer the world than GMing a mid basketball team. But like the Magic could get wise and get a guard, all of that. The Heat could just kind of, magic their way to a bunch of wins because the Heat just have devil magic in their fingers.
Maybe the Magic get Trae.
Maybe the Magic get Trae. That would be a combination of one of my least favorite players to watch and my second least favorite franchise behind the Boston Celtics. That will be a big old not watching that for me if that union takes place next year. But yeah, what do you think is the ceiling for this roster? Assuming they pick 7th or 8th and their rookie, chips in off the bench next season in all likelihood, how high would you say? Like, do you think there's a world in which they reach a 4 seed? And does that increase their chances of winning a playoff series? I mean, it obviously does, but do you think that's even on the table as an outcome?
So 4 seed this season was the Indiana Pacers at 50 and 32. Yeah. And the Bucks finished 5th with 48 wins. So effectively, do I see a path to 50 wins? I think that would be incredible to see. I think that would be very difficult. I think it's just part of the growing pains of a young team trying to learn to win. And so I think it might be just a cut above them. I think, even when I think of the Knicks, they will look at some of the weaknesses of this season, the way their defense has struggled against time, the way they've struggled against top 10 offenses in general. And they'll probably look to make some changes in the offseason. So I think that's something that might be coming.
Wow, Karl Anthony Towns for Jakob Poeltl? Crazy. Unbelievable. What an overreaction.
I mean, we might just see Thibs on the way out.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah. I mean,
if the Pistons pull this off.
I don't think they're gonna. I really don't think they're gonna.
Yeah, they're not.
Look, nice win for them last night. Don't
Yeah.
want to drain on anyone's parade in Detroit, but
yeah, but I could see them getting beat down pretty bad by the Celtics. I will say that.
Oh yeah, yeah, that could get real grim, real fast. This podcast not grim at all. We're hopeful. We're excited. We're going to talk about a couple guys who have potential statistical milestones to hit next year, and we're going to get into that. This is a Big V special, by the way. This was added to the rundown by your wonderful, stupid little game guest in chief, Big V. We're going to get into Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett and some stats talk coming up in just 1 second. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel, the #1 sportsbook in North America. The NBA playoffs are on right now, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's pretty sweet. It makes picking super easy. That is the FanDuel super easy to use website. Makes it easy. You just go through, pick your favorite team, dive into player props, whatever you want. 3-pointers, steals, assists. It's all there for you to go peruse. And of course, it's not just for the NBA. If you're a hockey fan and you, like me, are constantly in a state of fear over the Toronto Maple Leafs losing hockey games in the postseason, do a little favor for yourself. Do the happiness hedge. Bet against the Leafs. So if the Leafs do in fact lose, like they're probably going to do at some point over the next couple of months, you get some money out of the deal, and it's a little bit less depressing. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. Back at it here with Big V, Vivek Jacob from Sportsnet, Raptors in 7, Basketball Insiders, the whole 9 yards. And let's get into your pitched what's more likely for today's show. In regards to Toronto Raptors players, a little different than the sort of two extreme ends of a spectrum, more kind of two guys on their own extreme ends of their own little deal. But let's get to it. Your what's more likely you've pitched here today is what's more likely, Big V. RJ Barrett returns to his 60% or better true shooting form, or Immanuel Quickley hits 253s next year. This is a lofty one for both guys, I think. Obviously, we've seen RJ Barrett do it before, at least in a half season with Toronto, where he was super efficient. Fell back off a little bit this year, though still higher than he was in any of his years with the Knicks. So there's that to take into account. And then you have, of course, Immanuel Quickley, who didn't play a whole lot of games this year, just 33 games, hit 85 threes in those 33 games. Obviously, his minutes were muted a little bit because of rest and injury management and leaving a bunch of the games early with injury. And so the minutes are kind of tough, and you got to kind of go on a per 36 basis a little bit with Quickley to get any sort of protracted full season outlook for his threes. But Big V, RJ back to 60%, IQ 253s. What do you think is more likely?
If I'm being perfectly honest, I do think that the Immanuel Quickley 253s is more likely. I know.
Ooh, didn't expect this. Let's go.
I do think that, the way the Raptors are going to play next season, I think they're just going to push him to really, really shoot the ball. And I think that, Ingram's going to have the ball in his hands a bunch. I think Scotty's going to have the ball in his hands a bunch. And so I do think Quickley is going to have a bunch of catch and shoots. And it really boils down to health. I get that, the career high for threes in a season for him is about 171.
Yeah.
And so we're asking for pretty much 80 more threes. But realistically, again, if he can play in 70 games and he can hit, 3.5 threes a game, that's what you're at. And for the quality of shooter that Quickley is, I don't think 3.5 threes a game is asking too much.
No, especially if they let him loose and he's taking like 10 a game. Like it just kind of takes care of itself with him being nearly a 40% 3-point shooter. Yeah, I think there's a chance he does it. Just to go through the list of guys who hit 250 this year, there are 7 of them. Oh, actually, let's play a little stupid little game within a stupid little game. Big V, name those 7 guys.
So Anthony Edwards made the most threes this season.
He did, correct. Yep.
And then Malik Beasley finished second with 319.
Yep.
Then there was...
You have the sheet in front of you. Is this a stupid little game that you're cheating at?
No, I remember.
Your eyes have rolled back in the back of your head now. You're just reciting the
Did you see the fun back and forth between Beasley and Edwards on the final day of the season?
No, I don't watch the final day of the season.
So Beasley had like the early afternoon game where he knocked down 7 triples, which took him to 319.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of tweeted out Ant, because obviously they're former teammates, and he was like, hey, you got to hit 7 to beat me. And the Wolves were playing the Jazz, so the win was already in the bag. So Edwards attempted like 21 threes or something.
I missed this. That rules. That's the best. I love when a star player has a concept game where it's like, Jokic, I'm playing the 12-win Pistons. I'm only passing today. No points for me. 38 assists, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. So
hell yeah.
Edwards attempted all those threes, got what he needed to beat Beasley, and then there was like this fun little back and forth. So that's why I remember those two.
Love it.
After that,
you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll give you a hint. 3 of them are on one team.
3 of them are on one team. Holy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Boston did it by committee, and it was so well spread out that it's not them. But I mean, Steph is obviously on that list.
Yeah, Steph is third. He hit 311. He's the only guy. Only 3 guys got over 300. So the gap down to 4 is now 265 is the highest.
So 3 guys from the same team got over 250.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez,
kind of insane, actually.
Yeah. Maybe it is Boston. Like, I'll say Derek White.
Derek White is 4th, 265.
Okay. So Derek White. Let's go Tatum.
Tatum is 7th, 250.
Okay, so it's obviously Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be the other guy?
Think Randall from Recess. Or any other worm-related characters that you can recall from children's television of yore.
What?
He's a little worm. It looks like Randall from Recess. This is like the way I describe him.
Okay. Well, Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, that's the guy. 5th, 255. And there's one other guy. Do you want to guess him, or you want me to just tell you so we can move on?
I mean, yeah, for the sake of our podcast listeners and viewers, probably best.
There's Tyler Hero. He hit 251. And so, yeah, you're looking at quickly trying to get into that mix of guys.
How many more get added to the list if we go down to 240? If
we go down to 240, none. The next highest is Zach LaVine at 239. There's a bunch of guys in the 230s. You get 12 who got over 230. So
maybe I'm asking too much quickly.
Hey, look, it's April of the end of the season, looking ahead to the next year. It's okay to be lofty. It's fine.
Yeah.
I will say, to get back on track, I think RJ getting back to 60% true shooting is more likely. It's a lot of threes to hit for Quickley, and if he misses any time, it's going to really be a challenge to get there. And he can still hit 240 or 220 and still be a damn effective player. And I think that's probably more the range he probably ends up in. I do think he'll be near the top of the league, top 15 at the very least. But 250 is a lot to get to, unless you play for the Celtics, who are a joke meme franchise who just play garbage basketball. Anyway, I think RJ getting back to 60% true shooting is very much on the table, if in fact they're going to weaponize him the way they weaponized him after they traded for him and made him so successful, which was, you don't really handle the ball, man. You get the ball on the move. You finish as a monster in transition, and they're shooting around you. So your lanes to the basket for your kind of one-note lefty finishing are a little more open, and you get back to what you were doing as a finisher, something close to it at least. I mean, he was ridiculous as an at-rim finisher when he was with the Raptors in the first part, or that second half of that first season in Toronto. And so I think the environment's going to be set up with Ingram and Quickley and Barnes likely carrying the lion's share of creation, if in fact RJ is still on the team, which of course is the thing that's an open question at this point for all the financial reasons we've covered a million times. And it doesn't matter how many times we cover the very real financial realities. Everyone gets mad about disrespecting RJ in the comments because that's how things go. I don't make the rules of the books. The books are the way they are, and they're set up the way they are. Regardless, working in that setup where he gets to be an off-ball finisher, probably a lower usage rate, probably ends up getting a lot of pretty wide open catch and shoot threes. I think he can get there. The free throws are the big thing, like 64% from the line, not going to cut it if you're trying to increase your true shooting. I guess he did it, pretty reasonably. He was a bad free throw shooter during his first season in Toronto and got to the 60% true shooting, but he also had an at-rim finishing clip that was probably unsustainable. You got to balance it out a little bit with the free throws, but I still think it's probably more likely than Quickley because of the role change that I think is going to streamline things for him once again, and streamlining worked for him quite well. Have I convinced you to move to my side?
I think, thinking more about how many people did the 253s, maybe, like 210 would have been a more reasonable number. But we were, I
this
think
is why I write the questions, baby. You try to get powerful, you try to overstep. This is what happens.
But no, I do feel like 60% true shooting is also pretty lofty for RJ. I do think that the free throw shooting has been really disappointing. And yeah, maybe we see, a lessened role really just get him back to what he was in that small sample size that we saw. But yeah, I think you're probably right that Barrett's is more likely, especially considering the fact that it's something that he has done, even if it's a small sample size. But yeah, man, I just feel like, again, going back to the things we've discussed before about what this team needs and 3-point shooting being what this team needs, Quickley's just got to let it rip every chance he gets.
Yes, please do. I think he's going to get so many looks, and I think they're going to be able to really play with a lot of fun on and off ball stuff with him. I really think there's going to be a lot of interesting ways he gets used. I like, it's sacrilege to compare him in any way to Steph Curry because Steph Curry is Steph Curry, but like the style the Raptors play is very obviously Warriors influenced in a lot of ways. And he's the kind of guy who has that on and off ball shooting juice that you might be able to weaponize in similar ways. Not going to be to the same effect because Steph Curry, again, is, he's the best. But, having an approximation, a simulacrum of Steph Curry is not the worst thing in the world. And it's not going to be a bad way for him to rack up a whole lot of 3-point attempts. Hopefully you can knock him down. We're going to come back on the other side here, Big V, and get into a question regarding the thing we talked about yesterday, which is Cooper Flagg and the idea of him coming to Toronto and other offseason moving and shaking. We will get to that coming up in just 1 second to close out the show. Back at it here with Big V, Vivek Jacob from Sportsnet and Raptors in 7 as we continue our round of What's More Likely, everyone's favorite stupid little game here on the podcast. I think we're going to make a little stupid little game drop to play whenever we play a stupid little game, because why not get over the top stupid production for a very stupid thing we do here on the show. Stay tuned, baby. That is a tease. Last one I have here for you, Big V. Regards off-season additions. I think what's most likely here is the Raptors make their pick at 7, 8, or 9, come back with mostly the same team, and just see what they have. However, we know this franchise likes to get opportunistic, and we know they have a 7.5% chance at the number 1 overall pick, which would be Cooper Flagg, who, again, I talked about yesterday at length on the podcast and in the newsletter. So I ask you, Big V, what's more likely? Cooper Flagg is a Toronto Raptor, which has a 7.5% chance of happening, or the Toronto Raptors trade their first-round pick in an upgrade deal involving whatever else you want. It's all part of your imagination. You go crazy with that, but they trade their first-round pick in order to upgrade the roster for next season. What's more likely for you?
I'm gonna say Cooper Flagg.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, considering the financial ramifications, if you're trading the pick for a roster upgrade, I think
Mhm.
you're getting into the cycle of having to pay whoever it may be sooner than you'd
Sure.
like. And
Sure.
so I think the financial control that comes with, oh, Ross Atkins just tuned in. No, I think
Wait, what?
Oh, I was making a joke about financial control and player.
Sorry. I know that. Yeah, his little Spidey said, "What?"
Sorry to throw you off there, buddy.
No, it's good. I was not ready for Ross Atkins slander, but I should always be ready for Ross Atkins slander. I like the Jays this year. They're fun. Whatever. Carry on.
Yeah, but I do think, the financial flexibility part of it,
Mhm.
if you're looking for more of a veteran piece or whatever it might be to complement this roster, uh, it makes things just tighter on the financial end where they might just say, hey,
Mhm.
let's just stick with the pick, go young. And then, hey, if you get a Cooper Flag, now you move off, a contract or two that's already on the roster.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this one. 7.5% chance is like probably a higher percentage chance than I'd give to any one-off trade actually happening in the summer. For anybody, like trades are hard to get over the finish line. More so now. I know there was just a million trades at the deadline that kind of ran against the trades are hard to do thing. But like they're still hard to pull off under the best of circumstances because you need a bunch of satisfied parties and happy billionaires overseeing it all. They're tricky. So yeah, I would say 7.5% chance is probably I'm going to lean that's a better chance that the Raptors just get Flag than they go and make some kind of upgrade trade this summer. Yeah, I think it would take a really special kind of player. I think popping loose in order for the Raptors to get crazy and offer up the pick. I mean, hey, like if they ho 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 wrench thrown into the mix, they get the first overall pick and then trade it for like a Giannis type guy. Where does that fall into the level of possibilities here? Because like, would you say they're more likely to trade the pick if it's number 1 or 8?
I think
Aha, got you now.
I actually think they're more likely to trade the pick if it's 8. Because
Yeah. Okay.
if you can get a Cooper Flag type talent
Hmm.
and on that type of contract for
Hmm.
the next 4 years, I think they would value that more than, putting yourself in a cap crunch immediately with, a real star. And yeah, I don't know in terms of, all the things that they've talked about with this core group and, the way things have gone on. Like, obviously, we know that they get themselves involved and try to see what's what with
Hmm.
these superstars that come up.
Hmm.
But I think they'd see more value in the number one pick, and that type of talent
Hmm.
uh, having a very, very desirable contract.
I think you're very right. I probably wouldn't do it because I think the idea of playing Cooper Flag with Scotty Barnes is like bloody tantalizing, man. Good luck ever scoring on the Toronto Raptors if those two guys are your 3 and 4 wing defenders. But yeah, it's a compelling thing to think about because if there's one thing that would keep the Raptors from getting into the mix for a guy like Giannis if he were to become available, and who knows, we've done this dance however many times over the last half decade, and he always sticks with Milwaukee. So maybe he just stays in Milwaukee forever. Kind of feels like there's an expiry date on that team, and a bunch of first round exits in a row maybe changes the dynamic a little bit. It would be a fascinating test case for Masai Ujiri himself, who of course has been obsessed with Giannis ever since he almost tried to trade up for him, but couldn't get him back in 2013. And like you have this sort of golden ticket where it's like, I could cash this in and maybe get Giannis on the team. Do I do it? Or do I do like the smart person thing and just keep the really good young player who might be an all NBA guy in a couple of years? It's a fascinating one. I think they probably skew towards keeping the pick too, but man, I just the second one's more likely. It was way better than the first one in this segment. Really one up to myself there. Yeah. Where are you at in terms of letting yourself believe the Flagg thing could happen. I'm fully at the point where I'm expecting to be completely heartbroken. It's not going to work out, but I'm allowing myself to just imagine what it would look like for a few weeks. I wrote about this yesterday in the newsletter. Curious if your thought on it, or are you just like not entertaining even a little bit because you don't want to hurt yourself?
I don't think hurt's really a part of it. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just I'd be surprised if it happened. I'd be very surprised if it happened. I'm not. uh, I think the Raptors just would have needed to put themselves in a better position. And I'm not going to go back down that train again. But but yeah, I think if they were to have found a way to be in that top 4, top 5,
Mm,
I think I might have got a bit more tantalized by the prospect of it.
sure.
But I think at 7th, I'm just kind of like, hey, you know, moving up to 4th would be nice.
Yeah, no, for sure. That'd be tight as hell moving up. But I don't know, 7.5% chance compared to 10% for the Sixers, I think, or even 14 for the very worst teams. Like, it's not that big a difference in the grand scheme of things. So I don't know. The flattened odds have totally seduced me. I'm a rube. I'm an idiot. But and again, I'm not expecting it to happen either. I'm just allowing myself to entertain the fanciful notions of it happening because it would be pretty damn sweet. And just I like to envision the way certain basketball players would look with other basketball players on the floor. And the idea of Cooper Flagg with Scotty Barnes seems pretty damn cool to me. So I'm going to think about it while I can, and maybe even after it's completely ruled out, because why the hell not? It's the off season, baby. Big V, thank you as always for joining me for this stupid little game here on the podcast. Anything you want to promote for the good people out there before you wrap up said stupid little game?
Usual stuff. Raptors in 7. I'll have a new post coming up soon. Writing stuff for Basketball Insiders and Sportscasting. You can check all of that out and follow me along at Vivek Jacob.
Do all that. Of course, you can subscribe to the Raptors, Locked On Raptors newsletter as well. QR code on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Link in the description of the podcast. If you're listening on audio, it's 100% free. You get me writing blogs about your Raptors, and I might talk a little about that Nuggets Clipper series today because I can't get it out of my damn head. In the newsletter today is a bit of just a palate cleanser from talking Raptors stuff all the time. So you have that to look forward to. And again, it's 100% free. You get it every day to your inbox. It's awesome. Taking a deuce. It's just the most fun it's ever been. So please go and sign it up. It's much appreciated. You can also win some stuff. If you sign up between now and April 30th, you will be entered into a draw to win one of 3 prizes, either a $200 Fanatics gift card, a $300 Game Time gift card, or $2,500 to Best Buy to upgrade your setup or buy many Nintendo Switch 2s, whatever you want to do. It's all there for you. Just sign it up and you'll be entered into the draw. That's all you got to do. Drop your name in the box and get those emails sent to you. Either way, thanks much for rocking with the show. Please follow, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. Back again on Wednesday where we'll talk about something. We got other stuff coming up later in the week. We're going to do bold predictions revisited with Joseph Cacharo on Thursday, and then the Locked On Raptors Fantasy League champion, my Discord nemesis Cause, is coming on the podcast on Friday because for some reason I'm dumb and made this the prize for winning the league. It's gonna suck. Love you, Cause. We'll put him on blast for thinking the Luka Doncic trade is good for the Mavs. Actually, yeah, this is the take this person has. I'm having him on the podcast. I don't know what I'm doing. Either way, thank you very much. We will talk to you again very soon. Have a good one. Bye bye. Not even close, man.